I'm Grace from PIY, Pizza It Yourself. Today we're going to make a gluten-free pizza. The key thing to remember about a gluten-free pizza is that the dough is extremely sticky. One thing you're going to want to do is work with oil the whole time. I use the touch-free method, which is 2 pieces of parchment paper, and I spray the parchment paper with oil. Another option would be just to use your regular olive oil or canola oil and use a napkin to spread out the oil. So I'm going to oil up the parchment paper, and I'm going to place the dough in exactly the middle of the parchment paper. The reason why I'm going for exactly in the middle is because I have to stretch out this dough all the way to the edges, and I want it to be symmetrical. Now this dough has been sitting out for a while, so it's ready to go. One of the things to note about gluten-free dough is that you want to give it a chance to sort of sit out and breathe. Otherwise, you're going to find that you're having to muscle and work the dough very hard when it's very cold. So I've just put oil over the first parchment paper, and again, when I'm working with my hands, I could just take some oil and actually work out the dough this way, but I prefer to use a less messy parchment paper way. So I'm going to oil up the parchment paper, put it face down on the dough, and then work out the dough this way. So it's super easy to stretch out because it's so warm at this point, and I'm just going to shape it like Play-Doh. I'm just going to go out here. I've had feedback that it's much easier the first time you make a pizza to make it with gluten-free dough because all you're doing is playing with Play-Doh. Once you've pressed out the dough, you can remove the parchment paper and redistribute any of the pieces of the dough that show holes. So we might take this piece over here, and I have a hole over here, and I'm just going to reposition things. You'll want to even out the dough as much as possible. Because of the way that the gluten-free dough cooks, you're going to want it to be sort of even. It's going to cook a little better on the outside. We do bake this dough at 500 degrees. I don't recommend going higher than 500 degrees because it'll often burn this gluten-free flour mix. So, we want it to really cook evenly, and if I have really big edges and bigger parts, thicker parts of the dough in the middle, it's not going to cook evenly. So I want it to be about the same across the whole pizza. Next, I'm going to add the sauce and the cheese. I'm going to work from the inside and move the sauce out towards the edges. Whenever we're baking the pizza, we have to remember that everything moves from the center outwards when it's baking. So we want to make sure that we have enough sauce that goes 1/4 of an inch away from the edge and enough cheese. Once we've added the sauce, we're going to add the cheese. Again, keeping in mind that everything bakes from the outside inwards when it comes to the toppings. In other words, if we don't hit the outside edge with the cheese is never going to hit there. And we're going to land up with a lot of coastline. We don't want to have too much coastline. We want cheese right to the edge. We're going to bake this pizza for about 12 minutes until the crust is lightly toasted. We took the pizza out after 12 minutes, after rotating it halfway through the cook time, so at about 6 minutes. Just double checked underneath to make sure